one more time. And the big reason why Tom lost is because the Mono Blue Devotion deck just has an inherent advantage by the main deck. It's placed 4 Tidebinder Mages, which do nothing to most decks, except for when you play against the red decks, taps them down. He plays 4 Master Waves that are protection from red. And he has Night Veil Spectre, which has 3 toughness. Pretty much every card in JB's deck is made to beat Tom Ross. So we'll see if we can get through this.
And so we've got a turn 1 Rakdos Cackler from Tom Ross and a turn 1 Judge's Familiar from JB Milo, who is the player on Blue Devotion. That's a pretty good start for Tom. He was on the play. He does have mana to burn. He can play Ash Zealot if he wants to here, if he had one. Instead, he's going to attack for 2. That's pretty much the ideal start, because if he started with a Foundry Street Denizen, he could have been in an awkward situation, or a Legion Loyalist would have been pretty awkward. But instead, he's got a pair of 2 toughness unleashed creatures now with a Gorehouse Chainwalker on turn 2.
Yeah, Chainwalker is very good in this matchup, being 3 power for 2, because the biggest toughness you can have from JB is a 1/4 if he has it. But if he doesn't have it,
well, he also has Tidebinder Mage.
Here we go. Like we said, it's kind of like your pre-sideboard when you're Mono Blue Devotion against red decks. Almost unfair a little bit, because against most decks you have pretty much blue for 2, for a 2/2, and that's it. You're just hoping that'll get there. But here, these cards are backbreaking. When he plays a Master of Waves, which we probably will have since the 4 of, if he has it on turn 4, I wouldn't be putting too much money on Tom's chances here. So he's going to need to dodge Master.
Well, he has got a Lightning Strike to be able to take out the Tidebinder Mage, but it's still going to gain JB basically 3 life here as Legion Loyalist joins the fray, a card that sort of people forgot about, I think. But it has haste, and it gives whenever it attacks with a bunch of your creatures, it basically turns everybody into little Akromas.
Yeah, and the little clause of tokens that can't block actually comes into play with Master of Waves, giving you a chance against it. The real curious thing about this is, why are JB's islands so ugly?
I was going to point that out, that he has mismatched islands. I'm a fan of the white border, but you got to have the same white border. I think that those might be Portal 3 Kingdoms, and if they are, then I would be very impressed.
Yeah, I don't know if they are. I see one in his hand. I think that one in his hand is even uglier than 2 in play. Can't get a good look at it.
He's saving that one for later. In the meantime, JB is going to come in for 1.
Yeah, that's a revised island. That's a revised island. Get out of here.
These are his draft plans. He just had whatever was laying around. So Tom's going to be able to untap, facing down 3 untapped blue mana, and I don't think that the Mono Blue Devotion deck has a ton that's real frightening. The only thing that he has to be afraid of, and that he's probably expecting, is rapid hybridization on his own Judge's Familiar to flash in the blocker. However, that is also a token, and that will trigger the Legion Loyalist. Or it won't trigger, but the Legion Loyalist trigger will not allow him to block with that token. Tom Ross isn't going to be able to make the token unblocked from JB. Instead, he will get a token of his own as Gorehouse Chainwalker hits the graveyard, and JB gets hit for 3 more damage.
Yeah. So, I mean, this isn't too bad, because, again, giving him a 3/3 is kind of trading 3 life for that, getting a little healing salve going. Because really, if JB gets to the end game, which is pretty much turn 4, 5, 6, 7, if he gets to that range, he's probably going to win. He just needs to get there at a high enough life total to withstand a few burn spells off.
And 12 is probably enough to get there. He has Master and Jace, Architect of Thought, in his hand. I don't know which he wants to play here.
I'd play Jace here, I think.
Yeah, probably Jace first. Nope, it's going to be Master. We're going to get in 2 tokens.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad either. The problem is right now that he's going to be facing down that 3/3, which is he's going to probably trade a token and a Judge's Familiar for.
Well, again, he can't block with the token.
Yeah.
He can't block with his tokens off the Master of
I don't
Waves.
think he's going to attack with Legion Loyalist. I don't think Tom is, because if he attacks with Legion Loyalist and Rakdos Cackler, he's pretty much going to lose his entire team because of the pro-red 2 power blocker. I don't know if that's the play here. He might do it, though.
Yeah, he's going to Lightning Strike JB, putting him to 9, at end of turn.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess actually attacking is pretty good here, because he's going to lose his Legion Loyalist here, but he's still forcing through 5 damage. Pretty good.
Yeah, and there's always the possibility that Tom has Rubble Belt Maka in his hand to be able to save the Legion Loyalist for the complete blowout.
Yeah.
First strike, trample, and can't be blocked by tokens, all relevant against JB's board.
Yeah, so I don't know if JB knows about the trample, because he's blocking here, which is not going to effectively do anything.
Well,
absorbing 1 damage. Ooh, and
Titan Strength is going to give the Frog Lizard trample. We're going to read Titan Strength along with JB. Titan Strength is a common from Theros, gives +3/+1, and allows Tom to scry 1.
Definitely a draft superstar card.
Absolutely, and it serves a very similar, and this deck is called a Sly deck because it serves a very similar purpose to many old Sly deck varieties.
That is lethal.
It's just another chain lightning, basically, for most of the time, and Tom was able to force through the last little bit of damage to be able to take out JB in game 1. So Tom Ross is going to be up 1-0 over JB Milo with Boss Sly over Mono Blue Devotion.
And Tom did this earlier when we had him on camera. He beat Mono Blue in game 1 and then lost the next 2. And if he gets a start like that again, he has a good shot. But he needs a few things to go right in his way. He needs a Legion Loyalist to beat the Master of Waves. Otherwise, you can't get any damage through. Also, the trampling was huge there, too, because all the blocks were pretty irrelevant. Yep. Besides that, he's going to need, like we saw, a 1-drop, 2-drop, and 3-drop. He needs to keep going and have a good curve. Otherwise, if you're going to go to, like I said, the late game, quote-unquote, which is turn 4, and you don't have enough damage on him, then the Mono Blue Devotion deck's going to run away with it. So we have a little sideboard in here. We see from the red player, we have Seismic Stomp.
Yeah, I'm not sure Seismic Stomp comes in this matchup. JB has too many flying creatures in Night Veil Spectre and Judge's Familiar and Cloudfin Raptor. Right. It does prevent Master from blocking. It does prevent Thassa from blocking. It does prevent Frostburn Weird from blocking. But when you still have double-digit amount of blockers, it's kind of iffy to bring that card in.
He has Electrickery, which can dispatch a lot of the tokens that were made also, and Judge's Familiar.
I like Electrickery a lot in this matchup.
Yeah.
He's going to be able to take out random Judge's Familiars, unprotected Cloudfin Raptors, and of course, Master tokens.
And post-blocking, if he blocks with, let's say, Frostborn Weird has 3 damage on it, or blocks with he doesn't have Omen Speaker here, but in a similar deck that plays Omen Speaker, you can kind of get that extra damage through. Night Veil Spectre with first strike damage on with an SCGDAL, you can finish it off too. So there's certain things you can do with it. And he has Shock, Skullcrack, a few other burn spells. On the other side,
it looks like he has JB has 2 Rapid Hybridization, which I would expect would come in, and 2 Domestication, which I believe are pretty powerful in this matchup, should he be able to get to 4 mana. It can take literally anything out of Tom's deck. Not everything is really very good, like domesticating a Unleashed creature is not real good, but being able to take an Ash Zealot, or a Burning Tree Emissary, or even a Legion Loyalist is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it was better than killing is keeping it,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
You get that double devotion added to it as well.
JB wants to be able to take out these Bident of Thassas. I don't think that they're particularly good in this matchup.
Yeah.
He doesn't have additional Jaces in the sideboard. He only has the 1 Jace Architect of Thought in the main deck and none in the sideboard. The Jaces he has in the sideboard are Memory Adepts, which are not for this matchup, of course. He doesn't really have a great sideboard for aggro.
No, not at all. It's definitely you're kind of limited with your single color strategy here. But yeah, I agree. I think I'd probably have a couple more Architect of Thought just for this matchup, or aggro matchups in general. Actually, all matchups. So pretty much important Architect of Thought against control and aggro. Maybe not mid-range, but you want them against the super aggressive decks. You want them against the control decks as well.
Yeah, I think that there are certainly options in Mono Blue. You're not left without options. You have Omen Speaker, for example, is a perfectly serviceable card in the sideboard of the Mono Blue deck. Just having the 3 toughness for 2 mana is very good. And he also doesn't have any Cyclonic Rifts, which is a good outlet.
Very different, because most decks that we've seen plays
in the sideboard, I should say. He has 2 in the main deck, but he doesn't have additional ones in the sideboard. And typically, what you try to do is sideboard up to 4 Cyclonic Rifts, 3 or 4 after board, to be able to burn 1 or 2 early, and then use the late one to put the game away.
He does have a Curse of the Swine, though.
He does have Curse of the Swine. Not really very good in this matchup. He doesn't really want to kill off Fire Drinker Satyrs and give you pigs.
I wonder what he wants to give pigs. What kind of deck he brings that in against? Just a green deck, I assume.
Curse
maybe?
of the Swine exiles, so it's able to kill off active gods.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So you can Curse of the Swine against the green-red devotion, for example, take out both Nylea and Arbor Colossus or something like that.
Yeah, also against a green-white deck, had Voice of Resurgence, a couple other good ones, and especially like Smiters, because you want to get rid of those big creatures because your guys are not that big on the ground. And also, I guess replacing some of your dorks later in the game is also pretty helpful.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Curse of the Swine hasn't picked up with all the gods running around. I expect to see more of that heading into the Invitational, which is only about a month away, December 13th through 15th in Las Vegas.
Pretty excited. I will be there. And
Playing.
You'll be there as well.
I will be there working.
Oh, both are good.
Yeah.
A couple of jokers there. It'll be fun.
So we start off with JB Milo playing an island and not having a 1-drop. Tom Ross, unsurprisingly, does, and he begins again with his premier 1-drop, Rakdos Cackler.
Yeah, this red deck definitely has no shortage of 1-drops. And here's the best 2-drop from JB is a Frostborn Weird. And again, we're looking like we're playing a little bit of limited here. We got a Rakdos Cackler Unleashed against a Frostborn Weird. And it's funny, Shed and I were talking earlier about just how these cards are just so goofy and not very good on their own. Let's say downright bad on their own.
It looks like Tom did not have the second mountain to be able to play the Madcap skills that he had in hand, but he is going to be able to Titan Strength his Rakdos Cackler, searching for a land there.
Wow, that's a good no block, I guess, but with Frostborn Weird, you kind of want to bite the bullet there and try to block because he's going to, eventually just get it anyway that way. I mean, I like blocking there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the plan is on JB's side of the board to not block Cackler there. I guess he's just trying to wait Tom out.
Yeah, I still think, with these red decks, you have to fall for it. You got to block. I mean, because you're going to have to give that card out of his hand eventually anyway.
I guess he has multiple Master of Waves in hand. So basically what he's trying, and here we see a Tidebinder Mage. So
okay, yeah, the Tidebinder Mage, that's not too bad then.
Yeah, that
Plus,
makes more sense.
Tom being on one land in hindsight is obviously makes the no block okay then too. But if he just goes on, you don't untap that.
Well, yeah, and JB didn't necessarily know Tom wasn't going to play another mountain post-combat, so...
This looks like we're about to go to Game 3 if JB draws his fourth land here because Tom does not have a second land. And we talked about it. If JB gets to 4 land, that's like the late game. Mono Blue gets to just get out of control if you're at a high enough life total.
Tom does have Shock, so he is going to be able to stay in this game at least a little bit.
Yeah.
But this turn 4 Master for what's going to be 3, because Shock on the stack is going to be able to take out the Tidebinder Mage.
It's
going to be a problem. Oh, he didn't have the fourth island?
Yes, he just drew it. Yep.
Well, there you go. He was also in okay shape, even if he didn't have the island, because he had Night Veil Spectre in hand. He also had Thassa.
Yeah. I don't think you should play the Master here. You might as well just play Night Veil Spectre. There's no reason to. You're at 15. You got the guy tapped. I think you can wait a turn, but he's going to play it.
Looks like he's going to play it out there.
I mean,
it's tough to argue against playing Master of Waves against the mono red deck.
Yeah.
When you can, just as soon as you can.
It's just one more turn to be just so juicy.
Well, it's already pretty juicy. It's already 8 power for 4 mana.
Yeah, pretty much unkillable too, unless he brought the Electrickery in, which I doubt he did.
So
all right,
in comes Frostburn Weird for 1. Got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Tom's going to untap, looking for another land to be able to play those Madcap skills and at least some other creatures in his hand. He has a Fire Drinker Satyr and another Rakdos Cackler. He does not find the land that he needs.
No, this game is pretty over, but Tom will play it out, of course.
It's one of the dangers of playing this deck
with 18
only
lands.
18 lands is sometimes you need the extra land, and different versions of Boss Sly have also had Dragon's Mantle to be able to act as sort of part of your mana base. A lot like a Legacy deck uses Brainstorm as part of the mana base.
Yeah.
Tom Ross using both Titan Strength and Dragon's Mantle sort of as pseudo-digging for mountains.
Yeah, I like Dragon Mantle a lot. I think that card, when it was I saw it printed, I was like, man, this is going to be real good and constructed if a red deck ever pops up because it draws your cards. I mean, it makes all your guys very, very threatening. And it has been catching on a little bit more here or there. So it looks like JB adds a Nykthos to his army of lands here. Pretty easy shape here. We got pretty good shape here.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
bad.
he's so far ahead on mana. He's already got his Master on the board. He's got a 4 toughness creature on the board. One of those Cacklers, by the way, does not have a leash on it.
Yeah.
But one does. And so he's going to trade with an element or an elemental token here. Is what it looks like to me.
And we have rapid hybridization maybe on his own creature, it looks like we're doing.
I don't know what he wants to do here. It
Pumping
doesn't
her.
look like he's going to do that. He's just going to pump the Frostburn Weird up to a 3/2.
And
That's
then
9 damage, putting Tom at 9. Nykthos for 3 activated because he has to have the extra land because Nykthos and Mutavault both typically tap for a colorless, but because he has both Frostburn Weird and Master of Waves, he can play it off and play the Night Veil Spectre.
Take that 2 damage, he says.
And we still don't have another land.
Nah, this is, again, like he's kind of dredging along here, but we're probably going to have a game 3, more likely.
And again, you're going to have games like this when you play Boss Sly, and you just have to fight through them and hope that you get there eventually. Unfortunately, JB's deck is very good at punishing the mono-red for being slow.
Yeah. I got all these cards that say something about red on it.
What are the odds that this Night Veil Spectre hits Tom Ross and gets a mountain off of it? What do you think? I think it's about 90%.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 100%. I just feel it here, though. Well, we might not be able to see it.
Maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 coming in.
All right.
Tom is at 10.
We're not going to see it. The trigger will go on the stack while lethal damage is dealt.
I always love that on MTGO when the trigger comes up.
You're like, oh, well, hold on.
Yeah. Gain 30 life off of Armadillo Cloak and Pauper.
Yeah.
It's on the stack as they're at -5 or something like that.
Take that.
Yeah, exactly. And so JB will have that trigger on the stack as game 2 ends, and he will win 1 back off of Tom Ross.
All right, so we got a game 3 like we thought. This is the same. Hopefully Tom doesn't suffer the same fate that he's going here, because again, he won game 1 against his 1 loss against the Sly deck earlier, and now he's going to have to go to game 3 just like he did last time, dropping game 2. So Tom needs lands and spells, just like most magicians do when they're battling.
Absolutely.
And if he has 1 land and all the spells, it's not going to do it. It will not do it in this matchup.
So Shock, Electrickery, I think, are the ones that almost certainly came in.
I think he did. I don't think he boarded Electrickery kind of thinking about it. I think that all of his spells have to kind of be able to go to the dome because it's pretty much a race to the finish. If he gets Master out and tokens, I think he's got the 4 Legion Loyalists. I think you have to choose between either Legion Loyalists or Electrickery. I think the combination of those 2 cards might be a little bit weak. I would love Electrickery as a control player in this matchup, but against this player, he still gets to keep the pro-red creature, which is kind of a problem, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, but it does take out like 10 power.
Yeah, if at that point, if he got, like, let's say he gets 5 2-1s out of it, that means his devotion was 5 for blue. You're probably
in pretty deep trouble.
You're probably grasping at straws there. But they are playing a solid color deck. Your sideboard options are inherently difficult and limited. So
this is the classic red versus blue matchup. I'm not even sure how much of the main deck that Tom wants to take out. I think that everything is pretty much what you want.
Right.
Fire Drinker Satyr, I guess, could come out because you don't want to have it because they have so many high toughness creatures that you're just going to be taking damage.
Yeah, there's just not much you can board out. You just got to hope that you have your explosive start.
He does need the shocks, though. So.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, Tidebender Mage is a problem. Tidebinder Mage is a problem. And it's one that can only be dealt by with a little shock there.
Shock action.
Yeah, because Lightning Strike, you don't want to waste those early on in these.
Yeah, trading 2 mana for 2 mana, 1 for 1, isn't where Boss Sly is going to get an edge. It's going to get an edge by Titan Strengthening for 1 mana to trade for your 2 mana creature, or using Lightning Strike to trade for your 3 mana creature and get those little tiny tempo advantages over the course of the game, which will add up to be able to turn every card in your deck into 4-6 damage.
I'm trying to think if this deck has it. Is it playing like pretty much every little red guy they can possibly play?
Absolutely.
What's that spell in there? I guess that was M13. The Krenko's Command. Is that even playable in
No,
this?
that's probably not.
With the Denizen turn 1.
Yeah.
Attack for 3.
And then you can also turn on Legion Loyalist with it. That's not terrible.
Off of Burning Tree Emissary, you can cast it.
There you go.
I mean, I'm just free, spitballing here, trying to figure out a way to get some red knowledge in my brain.
A little bit of free thinking. Absolutely, yeah. And we saw Joe Lissette earlier, not necessarily known as a red mage, playing red cards in the first round. So you're not alone in being the Esper gentleman trying to expand your range.
I just think about it. He's actually a traitor. That's okay.
you think about the strategy.
Right.
He's actually Benedict
He's
Arnold.
actually, yes, he is.
No forgiveness, Joe Lissette.
Yeah, you will. You'll pay for your crimes. Maybe not in this world.
You know what you did.
I'll save my aggro love my secret aggro love for the cubes, if you will.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. That's the typical way of control players, is that they wait until they're cubing
Yeah.
to first pixel Furic Vortex.
Oh, I do it. I do it all the time.
That's what LSV does whenever he cubes, I know. Is that he plays the red deck.
Me too.
Yeah, it's because in Cube is a format where you play cards that you would never normally play.
Yeah.
And so most players are like, I would never normally play Genesis.
Yeah.
Or Recurring Nightmare. Or Exalted Angel.
Or my favorite card, Hitsugu's Second Right.
There you go. Higgetsugu's Second Right's a good one.
Yeah.
But people like yourself or LSV, or you would think Ali Antrazi, although he made top 8 of an Invitational playing Burn in Legacy.
Ali, a good friend of mine, nearly a brother of arms here, he's a madman. He'll
he is a madman.
He'll play, exploration in Legacy.
He played unexpected results in a Pro Tour.
He did.
I saw him do that.
Yeah. So both players here are mulliganing to 6 while we discuss wild strategies here. Him and I played some bad cards. Actually, it's a funny story. Paris, when Callblade won the Pro Tour,
2011.
I'm rooming with him and Orm Beasley, a couple other, mid-level decent players, Pat Cox. And we're all hanging out, and I convinced him to drop his deck and play Mass Polymorph with me.
Nice.
And he goes 0-4 drop.
Sure, of course.
He will. He never really forgave me for that. I went 4-1 with Mass Polymorph in the construction portion.
Well, there you go.
I may have 1-2'd then 1-2'd again in limited, which caused me to be derailed completely.
Well, Stoneforge Mystic is your favorite creature, so 1-2ing is really where your
there you go.
Is.
It was actually, I guess it was just destiny.
That's right.
I played against, God, I've just names are just kind of being a little rough here. The Japanese player, he was actually unbanned that tournament. He was allowed to play again. Mori, I think.
Oh, Katsuhiro Mori.
Yes, I played against him, and he had Spreading Seas on all my lands. I had all islands in play, but I had a Colony Garden with an 0-1 plant. And then I played a Squadron Hawk earlier, so I had 2 creatures out. And he taps out, plays Grave Titan. He has 7 cards in. He has Bellerin and play the entire game and drawn all these cards. And I play Mass Polymorph. He has no idea. And he sits there and he reads it for a couple minutes and making all these sounds and gestures as I put in Emrakul and Iona. It's pretty funny.
That's pretty excellent.
Yeah. So, that deck was real fun.
So it looks like JB is going to 5, and then is he going down to 4 here? It looks like he's going to 4. Oh, he's going to 5, sorry.
Yes, Mulligan is something that this deck can do pretty well.
The mono blue deck? I agree. I think that the Boss Sly deck Mulligan's better.
Yeah.
Just because it can fix its draws slightly better and it also has more explosive starts.
And it's a very consistent deck.
Yeah,
you have a bunch of 1-drops and then 2-drops and then that's it.
Yeah, you'll often see Boss Sly actually put a player to very nearly dead and still have 3 cards in hand. It often has to use all of its cards to get the rest of the damage through.
Yeah.
But against a hampered opponent like the 5-card JB Milo, who did find a second land on top, so he's going to be able to play Magic at least.
Yeah. This is a card that's probably the worst card in the matchup. Just early on when you're on the draw is Cloudfin Raptor, mainly because it can't block until significantly later. Even on turn 2, he needs to level it to even block a 1 toughness creature. So
yeah, this Foundry Street Denizen is going to be able to come in for 2 damage because the turn 1 creature didn't have a power.
I think he drew Tidebender Mage. Pretty good.
Tidebender Mage is a good one off the top. That's going to tap the Gore House Chainwalker and evolve the Cloudfin Raptor.
Attacking.
This is a pretty aggressive attack.
Attacking.
I think that he knows that he's got to press his advantage when he has it.
Yeah, I mean, now... I think you have to block a Tidebinder Mage here.
Well,
no, we cannot.
He can't. So we're going to put in 4. Madcap Skills is really good against the Mono Blue Devotion deck.
Well, think about if JB didn't attack here, just playing defensively. We could have double blocked here, killed it. And,
well, that would have been a 2 for 2.
Yeah, and then looking at JB's hand, he has a Frostborn Weird and a Nightveil Spectre, so it would have been an easy bounce back, too.
Yeah, if he draws a land, which he does.
So a Nightveil Spectre is going to come down level.
Yeah, Nightveil Spectre is going to level this turn, and then next turn, the 4 toughness on the Frostburn Weird is going to be able to level up the Cloudfin Raptor again.
Yeah, and he also has Thassa as the last card in his hand. This hand is pretty
this is a pretty good mull to 5, yes.
Yeah, pretty good, pretty darn good.
Tom, though, still has this 4-1 that can't be blocked except for by 2 or more creatures.
Yep.
And so he's going to be able to press a lot of damage through.
I think you just attack with a Tidebinder Mage. I think you have to leave the 2 back and hope for the double block. Because even if he has Titan strength, that only gives.
He's still 2 for 3ing himself.
Yeah, it's still not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I don't hate that.
I think you have to, because JB having Thassa and a Frostmourne in your hand gives you this long-term game. You're going to be able to come back in this. Because if he doesn't have a red creature in his hand, he actually can only kill one of those creatures.
Yeah. I think that Lightning Strike is the card. Lightning Strike is the card that JB should be the most worried about here.
Looking at Tom, yeah, I saw Tom's hand last round. I think he had 2 more land in his hand, or at least 1 more land in his hand. So Tom being a little flooded in his 18 land deck, you have both extremes here. And I mentioned I don't think it's a bad idea to play aggro. It's not my personal preference, because I like the ability to have mana issues and still win. I love getting flooded, because then you have cards like Sphinx's Revelation to get out of those problems. With the red deck, there's no saving grace here. You draw a bunch of lands, you were, down
well, and that's he's only running 18, and when he won the SCGIQ, he was playing only 17 with a Crowan Crusader and Dragon's Mantle. So he's and using his spells as part of his mana to be able to mitigate a lot of the flood. But saying 4 mana is flood is pretty ambitious.
It is ambitious.
So I think that Tom
I'll say like 5 mana is flood for him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's more than a fourth of the lands in his deck.
Yeah.
4 is still a lot, though. You're not expecting to have a 4th land by turn 4.
No, definitely
in this deck.
And I think Tom's other card, I think he's holding land and something else.
And he's not going to be able to attack with Foundry Street Denizen.
Oh, this is going to get bad. Once he plays Thassa here, this is going to be real tough.
It was just all lands on top for JB Milo, who's going to be able to hit his first 4 land drops as well.
Yeah, I think Thassa here is the play, and which will level up Cloudfin Raptor once again, and then we'll have a board state where Tom really needs a Lightning Strike to actually get the Devotion drop back down.
Yeah. And there's the Thassa coming down as a 5/5. It will enter the battlefield as a 5/5. The Devotion rules are a little bit hairy for newer players, so it does actually come in as a 5/5 and trigger the evolve.
Yep. It comes in, it's state-based, it's auto a 5/5, it's auto a creature, so anything that those things would manipulate it would happen.
Yeah, Devotion behaves somewhat strangely. For example, there was an example that I heard that if you have a Perforos in play, and your opponent has an imposing Sovereign, and let's say you have 4 Devotion and you play a Thassa, the Thassa will come into play untapped because it itself is the 5th mana or the 5th mana necessary, but it will also deal 2 damage. So it's very strange on how it leads to some interesting board states.
Yeah. That's shocking a turn here. Wow. On Tidebinder Mage. So
Shock taking out the Tidebinder Mage is going to be pretty huge here because he's going to be forced to, if he wants to block, which he can, he will lose the Nightveil Spectre, which will turn off the Thassa.
Well, he can't even block. He has to be blocked by 2.
Right, but he can block with the Thassa and the Nightveil Spectre. He does have the requisite 5 Devotion.
Oh, yeah,
but
you're right.
The 4/1 will kill the 2/3, turning off the Thassa.
Right, yeah.
Probably for the foreseeable future, as JB only has 1 more card in his hand.
But he has the Frostborn Weird, so it's he can replace most of the Devotion loss, but not all of it.
Yeah.
I think you block here, mainly because you get to scry 1 no matter what. You have the Frostborn Weird to kind of come back from that, and you can't afford to go down this much life.
Yeah, JB would go to... is he at 10?
Okay.
I guess he took the damage.
Yeah, he took it.
So, yeah, he's at a dangerous life total. He's at Higetsugu's second range.
Yeah, this is... in Cube, what I used to do, what I do is actually yell dead, and I throw the card at my opponent when we Cube.
That's not a nice thing.
No, it's not. But it's all friends, though. It's
I have bad news.
What's that?
We top-decked Domestication. Although... that is a 4/1 Foundry Street Denizen.
Yeah, so he's going to have to take the Gore Clan, or the Chained Man, if you will.
You know, I just realized that Domestication isn't nearly as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Because Titan Strength and Madcap Skills both shut off the Domestication and give it right back to you because it triggers during the end step.
Well, at least it gets rid of those spells out of your hand. Not Madcap Skills per se, but the Titan Strength becomes pretty worthless there at least.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. I like this play here. I like it better than Frostborn Weird. But you got to be careful here. You're at 10, and since you elected not to block, I would just send in. Well, that's
doesn't have haste.
Yeah, you can't do that. But I'll send Thassa in, and then I would save the others to block, and that's what he's going to do, I think. No,
I think that we're going over what Summoning Sickness means. which is if it comes into play or under your control for the first time. And so Thassa is the only one that'll come in. So Tom will go to
attack.
9, I believe.
Yeah, because now he can use his own Gore Clan to block here. He can a lightning strike won't stop him from double blocking.
Well, the Gorehouse Chainwalker is
it's
unleashed, so it can't block, unfortunately.
Right. Never mind.
But this will trade the Madcap skills and the Foundry Street Denizen for the Night Veil Spectre to be able to turn off the Thassa, at least for the time being. Although
we know what's going to happen here.
We figure that this Frostburn Weird.
Oh, and he's trying to attack. Let's see, 3, 4. Yeah, that's not a creature.
That's not a creature yet. So it's
he made a
3.
mistake, yeah.
So it's 6 damage. This will put Tom to 8. It was a 2-turn clock in either case.
Yeah, it's not.
So I don't
bad.
think that it's that bad of a mistake.
I think Tom is pretty.
He's
done
resigned,
here.
I believe.
It's big time problems.
And JB scryed and found Cyclonic Rift on top. So that is going to be it. Tom had another land in his hand.
Yeah.
A full third of the lands in his deck. And he loses once again to Mono Blue Devotion.
Yep, second time today. Both of his losses. Tom Ross, probably one of the best players in the room. It's not just accomplishment-wise. It's just he's a innovator of deck building as well. Even though he's not the only one playing a deck like this, he's definitely well known for being a champion of this deck.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and the thing that he does is that he takes established deck ideas, but then sort of puts them on their head and makes the format warp to the change, to the little change that he's made to the deck. For example, mono red aggro is not something that surprises anyone. But what he did was, let's just take out all the 4-drops. Let's take out most of these 3-drops.
Yeah.
Replace them with 1-drops, get a little bit of a heroic theme in there, cut the land count way down, and now we're so much quicker than everything. We're going underneath mono black.
Yeah.